If war is too important to be left to the generals, surely justice is too important to be left to the lawyers. So said an esteemed legal scholar who probably watches TV every Thursday night, along with 16 million LA law regulars. For 1 hour every week for the last 5 years, justice has been left in the hands of actors, the members of the firm Mackenzie Brackman, where the line between what's real and what's just TV sometimes gets blurred. Make no mistake, it's a TV show, not a documentary, but it's a very good TV show. 100 episodes and 12 Emmys later, there's plenty of evidence to support that. Tonight, we'll go behind the scenes and meet the cast and creators of LA Law and sample some of the show's most memorable moments. Welcome to LA Law's 100th episode celebration. Lawyers and the law are hardly strangers to primetime television. But the pilot of LA Law was different. Very different. Starting with the death of one of the firm's partners, Norman Chaney.
I didn't actually touch him, but I'm pretty sure he's dead.
If he is, I got tips on his office.
Guy's so stiff you could put him in a museum. Look at this.
Mr. Chaney would never be seen again, but his legacy is a classic example of LA Law's off-center sense of humor.
We have a little reverence. Sure. A stiff, that's right.
This unceremonious exit was the introduction to LA Law's irreverent humor and a less than sentimental attitude toward the law.
Mr. Chaney's office? No, I'm sorry, he's not available right now.
A collection matter?
It's a little more complicated than that.
Douglas Brackman, played by Alan Rachins, set the record straight.
Mackenzie Brackman Chaney et al. does not handle $750 collection cases.
Douglas Brackman may have seemed formidable at first, but it wasn't long before LA Law's creators were popping his pompous balloon.
Hey, Dougie, don't...
So you stuck a slinky in your mouth?
I was using the flat edge.
Jackass! You're in contempt.
Poor Douglas has been made to suffer a whole host of indignities, week after week. Can we count the ways?
Well, there have been quite a few. Beside being blown up in the toilet recently, there was a couple of humiliating battles with my wife, now ex-wife Sheila.
You're manufacturing this, Sheila.
I'm sick of it, Douglas. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of your bald head and your hairy back. But most of all, I'm sick of your humiliating me with your sickening little affairs.
My affairs? And who are you? The Virgin Mary?
Slowly turn onto your left side.
Then there was a midlife crisis where I wore a hairpiece for a while to attract a very young aerobics instructor.
And red.
There was developing a case of fainting spells when it came to sex that required me to see a sex therapist.
Oh, dear.
You know, the look of horror on your face, I understand. You know, they were debilitating things.
Do you recite these with pride?
I recite these with a sense of humor.
L.A. Law's cast often seems as driven by libido as love of the law. The character most held captive by his sex drive is Arnie Becker, played by Corbin Burnson.
You are my prisoner.
I have two lines that I really remember that stick out of the pilot that kind of set the tone of what the show was going to be to some extent, and certainly my character. And one was, there was an associate sitting behind me that I was kind of coming on to and having a flirtatious little thing with in the office at the time. And I said, would you get me a sandwich, please?
This is tongue, honey. You trying to tell me something?
When I wake up and I come in and I'm tired and whatever, to find the character, I'll walk into a corner and say, this is tongue, honey. You're trying to tell me something. And I know the Becker character right away.
Look, we're all friends here, right? We're caring individuals who try to treat each other with decency and mutual respect.
You are the lowest slime on earth. You have the sexual responsibility of a warthog and the morals of a flea. You would screw your own grandmother and sell tickets to it. And I only pray for one thing, that when someone finally does murder you, there is a hell for you to rot in.
You were talking about decency and mutual respect.
I've always seen the faults in him. He goes behind that closed door and he just wants to cry. He doesn't know what it is. And I think maybe that's why people like the character. Because women, the most common thing women say is, if I had a night or a weekend or a month with him, I could change him. He doesn't, he thinks his armor is thick, but you can just, and you can find a chink in it.
Shall I start saying my Hail Marys now for what it is I'm about to do?
I have a feeling you'd better, as far as sin goes. I think this is going to be a big one.
I think you know what's behind that smile? It's kind of I'm stepping out on the plank here. I'm going to offer a little bit of humor, a little bit of sexuality. But God, I might fall in the water. I think that's in that smile. I don't think the smile is all confidence. I think the smile recognizes that there's a sea of sharks right below where I step.
I am nothing if not sensitive.
They all seem so at ease with themselves.
You thinking of running off and becoming a nudist?
What you see is what you get with Grace Van Owen's ex-flame, earnest criminal attorney Michael Cusack, played by Harry Hamlin. Their longtime romance produced some of L.A. Law's most charming moments.
When in Rome, Mickey.
Grace.
Hey, it's a party.
Do you understand Michael Cusack's passion?
He's on a mission, the way he's written by the writers. A mission toward truth and righteousness and all of that. And I often wonder, there was a cartoon that I grew up with when I was knee-high to a grasshopper called Crusader Rabbit. And Crusader Rabbit was dedicated to truth and righteousness and, I suppose the American way and all those things. This little rabbit, he had a mutt with him all the time. But I have always used Crusader Rabbit as a kind of a model. He seems to definitely be dedicated to this mission of always, making the right moral choice.
Cusack never donned Crusader Rabbit's bunny suit, but his gorilla-costumed proposal to Grace Van Owen is an L.A. Law classic.
I know this is a hell of a time to say this, but I'm in love with you.
Gracie, do you want me to throw this guy out of here?
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Kevin didn't stand a chance against Michael Cusack, the ape man. It was the beginning of 3 seasons of passion and playful good times.
How about a snapshot of the bride and groom, huh?
Definitely. There was a scene that Susan Day and I did. I think it was in the 2nd year or the 3rd year, where we walked out of the house and she had some helium balloons with her.
And I tried so hard and for so long to be taken seriously. And now that's the only way people take me.
Nothing wrong with being serious, Grace.
Oh, Mickey, I haven't done that since I was a kid. Give me.
I seriously love you, Mickey. And I seriously love you, too,
Ah, the ways of love. This season, Grace Van Owen got a very special Christmas present from Victor Cifuentes. Are you jealous?
I I am a little bit jealous, I guess. I hate to admit it, but I was walking on the soundstage a couple of months ago, and they were shooting a little pickup shot between Susan and Jimmy where it was very hot. I mean, she was taking off his shirt, and the camera went down, and you could see her undoing his belt. I mean, for TV, it was pretty risque. For me, I was burning inside. I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm the guy she used to do that to. That was my belt 2 years ago she was undoing, you know? But, I mean, call me crazy. I did feel a little bit jealous about that.
Markowitz?
One of the biggest romantic surprises of L.A. Law's first 100 episodes was the complex, evolving relationship between Mackenzie Brackman partners Stuart Markowitz and Ann Kelsey, played by real-life husband and wife Michael Tucker and Jill Eikenberry.
I just want you to know that I admire you more than I can ever express.
For Tucker, it was an especially rare acting experience. If you could put one scene in a time capsule, which one would it be?
We had a great time with the Venus butterfly scene.
I always felt that if it fell into the wrong hands, it could sexually enslave a woman.
When an unlikely polygamist shares the secret of the Venus butterfly, his most seductive sexual technique, it leads to a scene that's a favorite among L.A. Law's creators and cast.
We had never done a bed scene together. And here we go. We you know, you're wearing whatever the hell you're wearing, you know, for modesty, and you get into bed with your wife in front of 80 people.
Have you been seeing another woman?
No, of course not.
Then where the hell did you learn that?
You mean the Venus butterfly?
Everything is so natural. It's your wife. And there she is, and there you are. And it makes perfect sense, except they're filming it.
We could maybe do it again?
Yeah, I'm up for it.
Maybe from a personal point of view, the scene that you should put in the time capsule, though, is the one where there were personal overlaid on dramatic stories, and I'm talking about when you ask Ann to move in with you.
It was a very difficult time in our life. Jill had breast cancer. No one knew it. No one on the set knew it except Bochco. And he kept it a secret. Jill would work up until a certain hour every day and then go for her radiation treatment. She had just had the operation, and we started shooting the show.
Well, I was going to propose you move in because I love you. And because you give my life meaning and joy. And because the thought of waking up next to you is my profoundest happiness. But I thought if I did that, I might scare you off.
It's a big step. Can I think about it?
Absolutely.
Okay, I thought about it.
And?
Let's go home.
I am blessed in working with Jill, that when I look into her eyes, I'm a mess, I'm a puddle. She gets to me every time. And it was very easy to play that moment.
Tucked away on the 20th Century Fox backlot, the production headquarters of L.A. Law are far from the upscale offices of Mackenzie Brackman. Here, a staff of 23, including 5 dogs and an occasional cat, put together 22 episodes a season, following the framework first set up by former attorney Terry Louise Fisher and Hill Street Blues creator Stephen Bochco.
The workload is enormous on an hour show. For 10 months of the year, 9.5 months of the year, your back is up against the wall. And if you're going to work that hard, that intensely and that intimately with a group of people, you've got to have a good time.
And, you know, they back
The
up.
thing is that actually Alan's directing the scene because I don't do men's rooms.
You know, everyone's
Today, LA Law is run by an ex-Boston attorney, David Kelly, and director-producer Rick Wallace.
He anticipates that he is going to be dissected.
Before shooting a show, Kelly and Wallace meet with the production staff and director to make sure everyone's in agreement over the episode they're about to shoot.
I don't know, I think what you find is that a lot of people who come through here, actors who are guest players, directors, most of them have an unusually good experience, and it seems to be a collaborative experience. It's definitely an ensemble experience.
I'm still questioning this business because it does have an effect on who we cast and how we play it, about whether he's
We
the chief
create
of
an
homicide.
atmosphere where we sort of go beyond doing good work. We get into the realm of really trying to elevate it to a point that it becomes special. Now, we don't always succeed, but if we succeed 5 times out of the year at doing something really special, I think we've done great.
If she dies intestate, it's the same result.
David Kelly has had a writer's credit on 60 of LA Law's 100 episodes. At the same time, he helped oversee series production.
I need a little something for the staff meeting now. Punchy, maybe between Kelsey
Despite the occasional bribe, his dog Hogan is a loyal but less than reliable assistant.
End of business today on my desk. Good boy. It's very difficult for me to step out of the make-believe world of Mackenzie, Cusack, Cheney, Brackman, and Becker into the real world of Fox Studios and LA Law. Some days I do it better than others, but when I close my door and up my office and I have to write, I'm hearing Cusack, I'm hearing Van Owen, I'm hearing Cifuentes. So what I end up doing is throwing out the real world and putting it in Rick's hand, and I stay with all the make-believe characters who always say what I want them to say.
Most critics agree that exceptional writing is the foundation of LA Law's success. In this scene, an attorney on the verge of suicide offers his last closing argument. The writing of William Finkelstein and the acting of guest performer Thomas Ryan show LA Law at its best.
What I always thought Christmas is about is a kind of free pass. A time of saying, hey, you don't have to earn it. We'll consider you, the least of you, and we'll do it strictly on faith. But Christmas goes. The audition continues. And each one of us is sent back to hammer on his own personal anvil with the idea that we will be hammering until our hearts stop and someone kindly lays us to rest.
From conception through editing, it takes 7 weeks to put together an LA Law episode, including 8 days of shooting on the set. The conference room scene that usually opens the show may last only 2 to 3 minutes on the screen, but can take 5 hours to shoot.
People versus Ricky Davis. Michael?
We open in an hour. We're ready.
The high production standards and the glossy look of LA Law can be traced to the early influence of director-producer Greg Hoblet.
In my mind, as I was brought into this, was the notion to make this show, to make LA Law as uptown as Hill Street had been downtown, as elegant and sleek and articulate and rich and beautiful as Hill Street had kind of been ugly and inarticulate and bumpy and messy. And to that end, how we would develop the film, what the sets would look like, what the colors would be, what the wardrobe would be, and how it would look and sound and taste and smell and feel started to evolve. It just was going to be fun to try something new.
Just a minute. I've got an announcement.
The lawyers of LA Law are a team. So are the actors that bring them to life. Most have worked together since the first episode. This season, Mackenzie Brackman has added 2 newcomers to the firm's little family.
Take it out. Left.
Okay. Inhale. Deep breath.
Where'd you find this woman, Douglas? Leland hired her.
Amanda Donahoe plays C.J. Lamb.
It's going great, don't you think? I've watched LA Law as a viewer and really enjoyed the show myself. And one thing that does come across, one thing that does permeate through, is that these people are actually rather nice. They're nice people. They have good souls. These are not evil, manipulative people. And that's how I came to the set. I didn't expect any ego stuff to go down. And there they were. They welcomed me with open arms. They were very, very sweet to me, everybody.
Check by end of business today.
Let's go.
The other newcomer is Tommy Mulaney, played by John Spencer.
Mother of Mary and Joseph. With me coming on the show, see, my character, Tommy, is going into Mackenzie Brackman, into the corporation, and he's not a corporate type. And I've never thought of myself necessarily as a nighttime episodic type. And so I'm going on to the show, Tommy's going into the corporation, and life was reflecting art and vice versa. So, in a way, I feel like I've had an easy time of it.
Every lawyer here stands ready to assist.
L.A. Law may be built around ensemble acting, but at the head of the table at every partners meeting is magisterial Leland Mackenzie, played by Richard Dysart. Well, you aren't the star of the show, but you are the what?
I'm the glue.
Meaning?
Well, Leland Mackenzie sort of holds things together in that he is a senior partner. Things revolve in the office around him and go out from him and such as that. So, the stars of the show are the scripts, not the actors. We're a marvelous ensemble of people, a very fortunate, lucky group of people, but the scripts are the stars.
The burden is still on me to bring in the business. I can't spend 8 hours a day trying to build a client base and take out time to serve your sense of democracy. I know I've been cutting some administrative corners, but it is tough being both rainmaker and office ambassador at the same time.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying I'm going to set my priorities. For the next 6 weeks, I'm going to completely concentrate on expanding our client list.
When we first started, I thought, well, I've never done a series before. And I was concerned about how I was going to view this myself, how I was going to adapt to this. And I thought, well, just think of it as a movie.
And now you've made 100 of them.
Yeah, I think of it as one long movie. It's still going. I enjoy it.
Much of the appeal of L.A. Law can be traced to a deft mix of emotions and moods. The men have their scenes, but the unusual depth and complexity of the L.A. Law women produces a special kind of dramatic moment.
What the hell is it with you?
One of the show's most unforgettable characters is Icy Rosalind Shays, played by Diana Muldaur.
This isn't a country club, Leland, where you get to be the golf pro. It's a tough business, and any firm, if it wants to get ahead, needs a strong leader.
She just horrifies me sometimes to such a degree that I wonder how I'm going to ever say the words. But I love the fact that she just simply does what she does. I'm not stepping down.
You're only in power by my consent. If you and I do battle, you couldn't possibly win.
I'm not stepping down.
Then I'll have to break you.
You want a war, Leland? Fine. You got one.
I think if a man had said the same things, done the same things, you wouldn't have even seen her. She would have just come and gone, just like that. I think the idea of it being a woman, doing it that way, is what horrifies America. But then she does horrible things to people. I mean, she doesn't see the person. She's just there for the business.
Do you think you have advanced the cause of women in the workplace or set it back?
Interestingly, I have a lot of women fans who just think it's wonderful, and a lot of men that say, give it to him, Roz. Jill Eikenberry plays Ann Kelsey. It took courage, but Ann was one L.A. law woman who wasn't afraid to lay it on the line with Rosalind Shays.
I need my chair, I need my desk, I need my office. Get off the phone.
I admire Ann a lot sometimes, you know. She's so direct. I mean, she doesn't pull punches. She just says things that she feels, and I often wish that I could do that.
Women who aren't lawyers might find reason to identify with some of Ann Kelsey's dilemmas in the workplace.
I think the whole idea of trying to balance a relationship and a job, and trying to balance the aggressiveness needed to be a female executive and the softness needed to be part of a man's life, and you know, those kinds of compromises, the compromises involved with children and all those things. But in other words, you know, that hackneyed phrase of a woman who wants it all.
Stop that. Stop being nice or I'm gonna cry. I've totally ruined this whole day for you.
Ann, you didn't ruin it.
I did. I wouldn't do anything till the last minute.
It's just your way. It's your way of dealing with what's really bothering you, which is how scary it is to be standing here doing the M word.
With other people, I always used to try and pretend that I was someone I wasn't. And then I'd feel angry that no one really loved me for me. But you do, Stuart. You really love me for me. And that is the most incredible gift. And I just hope to God that I can make you half as happy as you made me.
I've never been so happy.
I love you so much, Stuart. Let's not screw it up, okay?
Deal.
Deal.
The thing that appeals to me about her is that she's constantly struggling with it, and I think, and looking for the answer. And that's a human being, you know. That's not, if she solved it, I don't think she would be as interesting.
Look, I would quit if I could afford to. I really would. But I have a son, and I am a 6th-year associate in a depressed market. I have nowhere else to go.
Conflict creates appealing characters. Playing Abby Perkins is a personal challenge for actress Michelle Green.
Of course, your ego, you want to be like the great woman who has everything together, who everybody admires and wants to be like you. No, you're playing the woman that's like a woman who has very, very weak self-esteem, you know, very low level of it, and incredibly uncertain, victimized all the time by things in her life.
I have a missing child. And if that little boy was my son, then how am I ever gonna know?
I'm sorry.
You're sorry? What for? To you, they're just meat, aren't they? Tag it, ship it. What the hell? It's just another body, right? Well, wrong, lady. Because that little boy was somebody's child.
We're saved.
Oh, what's that? One of those self-motivation tapes?
Better, The Temptations.
What?
One of my professors used to tell us that you just can't study anymore, but you got to keep going. Dance.
During the past 5 seasons, Abby Perkins has grown stronger and kept going. This LA Law scene with Jonathan Rollins is a mix of humor and romance, but mostly it expresses an attitude of exuberance and hope. In the end, the strength of LA Law's characters, especially the women, has been their ability to mature and change. The ability to mature and change has made Roxanne Melman, played by Susan Rutan, more than a match for her boss, Arnie Becker.
When I ask for your help, I expect you to give it.
Don't snap at me.
Don't you snap at me.
Hey, you snap at me, I snap back.
Has Roxanne changed or what?
She's changed incredibly. She's become better and better. I'm really proud of the changes that she's made in life. I feel sort of like, you know, I'm responsible for that. I've made changes in my own life, and they've sort of mirrored in hers.
Who went first? Did you change first, or did she?
I gave up on bad men a long time before she did. I lost weight before she did, but she stood up. You know, she started therapy before I did. I don't know. I feel like, you know, it's funny when I talk about her, I feel like I'm talking about a person that I know very well, not a character.
In the first year, when Roxanne demanded a raise and got it, a lot of people used the words that she used, which is a credit to our writers.
I am finally starting to take responsibility for my life. I can't be a doormat anymore. I can't let you wipe your feet on me and then say, thank you, Arnie. Thank you for letting me be your slave. Thank you for letting me take your dirty shirts to the laundry.
Rox, this is not you talking.
Oh, yes, it is me. With a little help from my therapist, maybe, but it's me.
You're unhappy?
Yes!
Did it ever occur to you that if you weren't seeing this shrink, you wouldn't need such a big pay raise?
What I do with my raise is my business. Do I get it or not?
Let us draw the distinction between a criminal and a criminal act. I don't believe...
Of all the LA Law women, the character of Grace Van Owen often spans the widest range of moods and emotions, from playful sex to dramatic moments in the courtroom. It's a challenging part for actress Susan Day.
Hold the law. I wasn't sure I'd be able to make her credible, out there fighting these criminal cases and winning. And I think it was through that, out of my fear, and yet my belief that all attorneys are simply smart actors, or actors who have studied law, that my fear could be part of her fear. The interesting thing is that in the beginning, Grace didn't lose any cases at all. She won all of them. I won them all, and rightfully so. But I said, look, I know in my homework that I've lost cases. I want everyone else to see me lose. Some were harder than others, and one of the ones that was hard to lose was the abused child.
What happens if I just take Lisa and we disappear?
Charlotte, he has custody rights. You'd be charged with kidnapping.
The lawyers of LA Law are not superheroes in a black and white world. They live in a gray realm of success, uncertainty, and failure. In this scene, Grace Van Owen confronts the painfully blurred boundaries of her life as a woman and an attorney.
As a district attorney, it would be inappropriate for me to encourage an illegal act.
Give me another choice. I can't let this happen to her again.
As a district attorney, it would be inappropriate for me to encourage an illegal act.
I hear you, Miss Van Owen. I hear you loud and clear.
Complex characterizations laced with ambiguity. That's the essence of the LA Law women and the dramatic heart of LA Law. LA Law is in sharp focus in the courtroom.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
One split.
Although entertainment is their primary goal, the creators of the series try hard to make the intricacies of the law as accurate as possible. This has won them some fans and a few critics in the real world of law and lawyers. Alan Dershowitz, lawyer and Harvard Law professor.
Well, I've become a sometimes skeptical fan. I watch it. I get mad at it. I love it. But it sends mixed messages to me. It sends a message to me, first, that there are fascinating legal issues out there.
Tourette's.
Second, however, it sends a message that legal problems can be resolved before the commercial.
Great.
To accept a settlement.
Stephen Gillers teaches law at NYU.
Is inadequate. Legal ethics teachers, and I think evidence teachers also, but certainly ethics teachers around the country, are literally forced to use LA Law as a pedagogical technique because students watch it, and the next day they come into class and they say, last night on LA Law, Arnie Becker did this. Can you do that?
That's sound.
So in ways that textbooks cannot, LA Law itself animates students' interest in legal ethics and gives teachers and students something to talk about.
Your Honor, the system isn't working.
Objection.
Sustained. Objection.
Get a restraining order.
Voice identification is appropriate.
I'll allow. Objection. Past sexual history is not admissible.
Mr. Becker breached his fiduciary responsibility.
A concern for accuracy adds credibility to the drama of LA Law. The producers regularly consult legal authorities, but that doesn't mean there isn't a little room for the unexpected.
I am scaling the walls of justice. I demand the return of my client's limb, Your Honor. Shut up, jackass!
You're in contempt. Or slut.
Let me lie face down in your dirty bathwater.
That's it.
LA Law takes the legal system seriously, but not too seriously. The series' distinctive sense of humor is never far from the witness stand, but it's always a logical outgrowth of the character or situation. Mackenzie Brackman's youngest attorney is Jonathan Rollins, played by Blair Underwood. Rollins is always ready to push the legal limits.
You pay him $2,000 a day?
I fell in love with the character from the beginning because he came on like gangbusters from the beginning, and he wasn't afraid to say what he felt or do whatever the hell he wanted to do. And no matter who it is, especially a senior partner who had a different way of doing things, different tactics, he would kind of do it his own way.
What do you consider your finest moment?
I think probably the case I enjoyed the most was my first season, where I had a chance to cross-examine a guy to death on the stand. He had a heart attack on the stand. And that was, I think, a lot of what Jonathan is all about, just that aggressiveness and just kind of driving it home. And he just kept going until this guy...
Dropped dead?
Dropped dead.
You're the one who's lying, Mr. Boland, and everybody here knows it.
I am an honest man.
Mr. Boland. An honest man doesn't conceal his assets in hidden bank accounts.
Objection! Objection!
I will win all those suits!
Mr. Rollins, you're a thief who should be in jail, Mr. Boland.
You can't! No! This! Mr. Boland?
Miss Bennett, call an ambulance.
Bobby! Oh!
Your Honor, this man has a life insurance policy leaving $2 million to his estate.
What the hell are you?
In the event this man does in fact die, Your Honor, I'd like to attach the proceeds of that policy.
For God's sake, Mr. Rollins, this man is fighting for his life.
If he lives, Judge, your order's moot. If he dies, which it looks like he's going to, judging from this purple color I see, then you maintain the status quo pending disposition.
Shut up!
When juries can ignore...
Humor is vital to the LA Law style, but so is an underlying seriousness. The Earl Williams case gave viewers an unusually complete view of the legal process, from accusations, trials, and appeals to final verdict.
This evidence, as a matter of law, is insufficient to support a finding of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The defendant is to be released from custody.
It's over. I'm free.
LA Law has explored a number of controversial legal issues, including mercy killing, date rape, age discrimination, and child abuse. Many of the most demanding cases were handled by Victor Cifuentes, played by Jimmy Smits. Smits has his own image of the ideal lawyer.
Sure.
Definitely in the courtroom presentations, especially in the closing arguments, someone who believes totally in whatever case they're doing. And even if it's a case that he doesn't believe in, the whole thing about being a lawyer is to make that jury believe in whatever your point is. You asked about the summations. I guess that's one of the reasons why I really kind of like put more of my energies toward the courtroom stuff. Because lawyers perform. Lawyers are actors. That, for me, has been the most enjoyable part of working on the show. It's not because there's more words, but it's just you and the jury and the audience that's watching.
And so you were the first doctor to examine this patient?
Yes.
Often the audience is the jury. The producers say they're not out to preach, but to present evidence. In this Emmy Award-winning episode, both Cifuentes and his opposing attorney are allowed to present their strongest arguments.
There's no dispute about what happened here. Dr. Diane refused to operate, and it cost Warren Perel his life. The real question here concerns the value of that life. Now, since the patient was terminal,
With AIDS anyway, I guess you could easily ask, well, what's the big loss? So he just died a little sooner, that's all. What's 3 months? Well, I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. To a dying man, 3 months is a lifetime.
The most horrific thing that Dr. Diane ever had to do in his career was to stand there that night and watch his patient die. This thing about AIDS, we just don't know everything about it yet. We don't know exactly how you get it or how you don't get it, but what we do know is that once you do get it, you're going to die. And if we start imposing a duty on physicians that they have to take this kind of risk, that they have to stick their hands into contaminated, deadly blood, then people are going to stop becoming doctors. I'm a lawyer trying a case.
Real lawyers sometimes find themselves arguing against their own convictions. In L.A. law, Victor Cifuentes faced just such a personal dilemma when he defended a job discrimination case filed by a plaintiff with Elephant Man's disease.
Imagine my joy at being pitied by the guy who was hired to get me.
I don't pity you.
Oh, Mr. Cifuentes, we're talking about a symptom I'm quite expert at diagnosing. You talk about being repulsed. Let me tell you what repulses me. The idea that people feel sorry for me. The idea that people who don't even know me can, with one glance, know enough to feel sorry for me. I don't want... The irony is, the only way I can win this trial is by getting 12 strangers in a jury box to feel sorry for me.
Very real human dilemmas are the source of much of the fictional drama of L.A. law, but only with well-drawn characters does the drama pay off. One of L.A. law's most memorable characters is developmentally disabled office assistant Benny Stulwitz, played by Larry Drake.
As an actor, it strikes me that it would be maybe easy to play someone who is less bright, if you will. You don't just do that. You give Benny a tremendous dignity.
He oftentimes does the very right thing because he doesn't edit himself. He doesn't justify himself. He goes right to the gut level, simple version of this, and it seems more honorable than all the layers we have pasted on as sophisticated adults. Merry Christmas.
Benny?
The scene, I think, that struck home for me that was difficult to do, and we succeeded, I think, and therefore the audience response was kind of enormous, was the first season I was on and when Benny was arrested on rape charges that he didn't commit. And people slowly figured out he didn't commit it, and he didn't quite even know what was going on in his life.
Benny.
Benny's trial for rape brought the lawyers of Mackenzie Brackman together in an especially poignant episode. Even Arnie Becker revealed a streak of compassion as the aloof abstractions of the law became suddenly personal.
Benny, you told the police and you told us that you did something bad. What did you mean by that?
I saw it. I saw sex. She was naked.
They arrested you because they think you grabbed a girl and forced her to touch your penis.
I did not. I did not!
Man to man, Benny. Friend to friend. Did you ever try to make a girl touch you or have sex with you that night?
No, Arnie, no!
Did the man speak quickly or slowly?
He spoke very fast.
Okay, Benny, read it as fast as you can.
Enjoy it, bitch. Show me that you love it.
Your Honor. Again, Benny, louder this time.
Enjoy it, bitch. Show me that you love it.
This is ridiculous grandstanding, Judge, and I ask that it stop.
Your Honor, the district attorney is interfering with my cross-examination.
Well, everyone just quiet down for a minute.
It's not him.
Mr. Kuzak, please instruct your client.
That's not him! God, you told me you caught him.
Your Honor, she's been so bad
That's
to here,
not
she can't
him.
even...
The man who attacked me didn't talk like that. This man's retarded, for God's sake.
This case is dismissed. The defendant is free to go. This court is in recess until 2 o'clock.
We did it, Benny. We won.
Do I have to go to jail?
No, Benny, you don't have to go to jail.
Benny's acquittal means more than another Mackenzie Brackman victory. It represents the combination of character, emotion, and engaging issues that is the lifeblood of L.A. Law. There may be more to the secret of L.A. Law's 5 seasons of success, but the series' best episodes find an artful balance between the entertainment of its L.A. side and an accurate portrayal of the law and lawyers. As Harvard's Professor Dershowitz observes, there are more than legal issues in the law. There are passions and prejudice, there is love and hate, there is even sex. There is certainly a lot of that in L.A. Law. Legal scholars and armchair lawyers will be discussing the Venus butterfly for years. Meantime, 100 episodes later, the caseload at Mackenzie Brackman is full. As sexy, serious, and off-center as ever. I'm Jane Pauley. Good night.